Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Duncan White NBA podcast. It is currently November 30th of 2018, and this is Duncan White coming back to you for another episode of the Duncan White NBA podcast. This podcast is on my YouTube channel, TheSlamDuncan. Make sure you go subscribe and like this video. Also follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. I tweet various different things on Twitter and lots of analysis, tweets during games, stuff like that. So make sure you go follow me on Twitter for my latest analysis on anything. And also, I have said in my first two episodes that I wanted to get my podcast on iTunes and Google Play and also podcasts.com. I'm having some issues with that right now, so just give me some time. I'm going to be able to figure it out. So eventually this podcast will be available also on iTunes and Google Play Music and also podcasts.com, so you can also listen to on that. But for right now, I just want to make sure I get this video out for my YouTube channel. So obviously you can listen and watch my podcast on my YouTube channel, TheSlamDuncan. So I also want to apologize that I wanted to make a video for this week. I wanted to make it Wednesday. I was planning on doing it Wednesday, and I don't know if you can tell, but I'm very tired right now. I'm recording this Friday, and I wanted, at least get at least one video out per week for my channel, and I was planning on doing a video also Wednesday, and then my usual podcast for then dropping sometime this weekend, which is what I'm doing right now. But I want to do video Wednesday. Unfortunately, just due to recent events, I was not able to do a video Wednesday because I was planning on dropping that Thursday. So I want to apologize for that. Hopefully I can start doing those things where I can have at least one video of the setup. It's just more like a face cam, and I get to just go hit some various topics, not go so in depth on anything. And then also, have my podcast. But right now, for this week, it's just going to be the podcast episode. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know if you could tell. I'm very, very tired. I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to do this podcast right now. But I wanted to. I was able to get myself to do it. So, yeah, this week has been very mentally and emotionally draining for various stuff, but don't worry about it. I'm all good. So, enough about that, though. Let's get into some of the recent stuff going around the NBA. I'm going to try to keep this short because I am tired, and I don't know if you could tell my voice. I'm not feeling too great also. And it is that time of the season where I get kind of allergies and that cough, or I'm kind of stuffed. So I'm going to try and make this quicker than usual, but when I say that, it ends up being long, unfortunately. So I'm going to try to make this quick. So let's get to some of the recent stuff. I first want to start out by saying I want to apologize to Kevin Durant, because in my last podcast episode, I was kind of calling him out. I was questioning his ability to run a team, really. And the Warriors were struggling at that time, and Durant was just kind of passing the ball and everything. And I was very shocked to kind of see Durant not take over games like he would do in OKC. And then we've seen him take over games with the Warriors, in the finals, especially both game threes when he hits those game winners. And I was just shocked to see him just kind of be passing the ball, trying to, just have others make plays. And I'm like, Steph Curry's out. Draymond Green is out. You have Klay Thompson, who should be the second guy right now. You're the main guy. You need to start taking over games now. And he basically responded. And we've seen him take over games and put up some crazy stat lines. The loss to the Raptors yesterday, and that was a good game. I wasn't able to watch all of it. I was only able to watch a little bit of it, unfortunately, but it was a good game, and Durant had 51. So, and with Curry out, Draymond Green out, Warriors don't really have a lot of depth, and also not to mention the fact DeMarcus Cousins is also out. Can't forget about him. Durant has really responded to what I was saying earlier. I was really questioning his ability. I'm like, man, you got to start taking over games because Curry is not there right now. And for you guys to stay in good seeding for the Western Conference, because if you look right now from the top seed in the West to then the 14th seed of the West, it's very, very tight. The only team that's not in that running is the Phoenix Suns. But if you lose 2 games, you can drop in the Western Conference very quickly. So I was saying, like, Durant, you got to really step it up while Curry and Green are out. Once those guys get back, then you're obviously going to return to dominance. But right now, you got to keep this team afloat. And he has done that. He has responded. And I kind of figured, like, with the Warriors in general, I was just like, this little run, I was a little bit concerned just because Curry is out. But overall, I was saying, like, the Warriors, they really didn't need to be panicking. You know, we saw that fan crying in Dallas, and he was just crying over the Warriors' loss. I'm like, it's not time to panic. It's no time to panic. I was a little bit concerned because Curry's out. But obviously, when Curry comes back, Draymond Green comes back, Warriors are fully healthy, and then DeMarcus Cousins is also coming. They're going to be fine. So Durant has officially come back, and he has returned to Kevin Durant form. So that leads me into the Warriors and Raptors game that was on TNT last night. And like I said, I was only able to watch a little bit of it. I had a lot of stuff to do this week. So I was able to watch the highlights and kind of get a feel of what happened in the game. Raptors did blow a lead. And Durant hit some crazy shots. He hit one from the logo. He hit the game-tying 3 to send it to overtime. But overall, and Durant hit 51. Overall, what I was really kind of looking for in this game was, you know, everyone's talking about the Raptors now being the team in the East, and, you know, I'm starting to say it too. However, Boston has picked it up recently, which was, you know, I'm kind of expecting that. But, you know, a lot of people are saying now Raptors are the team coming out of the East, and they're probably going to make it to the finals. And at the beginning of the season, I would not have said that because I was very, like, not concerned, but I was very intrigued to see how Kawhi Leonard would fit into the Raptors system, and if they would, you know, after trading DeRozan, like, would the chemistry get kind of messed up, and with the team not run as well with Nick Nurse now as head coach, and that all those questions have been answered. So clearly they're still playing at a very high level, and I was very interested in seeing how this matchup would go with Curry and Draymond Green out for the Warriors. I wanted to see if the Raptors can show that they're a legitimate threat to the Warriors. Did they do that? In an overtime win by 3 points, unfortunately, I don't think they did. You could argue it. Kawhi Leonard was fantastic again, but like that, if you put Curry and Green in, and we're not even talking about DeMarcus Cousins yet, but if you put Curry and Green in that game, I think the Warriors win. Unfortunately, I mean, for the Raptors, like, it's just, I was trying to see if there maybe we'll have like good competition for an NBA Finals matchup, but I just think the Warriors are just so dominant. Even though what has been exposed about the Warriors is their lack of depth, but if they're 100% healthy, and that includes DeMarcus Cousins, their depth isn't an issue. That won't be an issue at all. So, unfortunately, I can't say the Raptors are going to be right there with the Warriors. Like, they're not on the same level. The Warriors are still above the Raptors in a good amount because, you know, we're only talking about Curry and Draymond missing this game. And I think if both of them play, or really just if Curry plays, the Raptors win that game. we're not even talking about DeMarcus Cousins. And I know we don't know how he's going to be when he comes back from injury, but still, I mean, like this, he's going to clean up the boards and that's one of the Warriors' weaknesses, is the rebounding. But he's going to take care of that issue immediately, even if he isn't 100%. Even if he isn't DeMarcus Cousins from before, and it also just gives him another post-up option. He's just so big that he is a post-up option no matter what, even if he doesn't have his quickness with him, or his explosiveness, but he's still a post-up option, and that's what that just puts the Warriors on even another level than what they already were. It's just insane. So, I think the Raptors, if this is the NBA Finals matchup, which, if this was a preview of it, I think the Raptors would get a game at least. I don't think the Warriors are going to sweep the Raptors, especially if when the Raptors play on their home court. I mean, the entire country of Canada is behind them, so they're going to get all the support from their fans, and home court's going to be great for the Raptors. I think they will take at least a game on their home court. But overall, again, I just think the Warriors are just too good, and as of right now, it's just basically preparing them for the playoffs, because right now they're not 100% healthy, so basically it's just make sure you keep the team in a decent area in the standings, because you don't want to fall too low where you can't bring yourself back up to get a good seed. And in a Western Conference, like, if you don't have that good seed and don't have home court advantage, especially in the first, but also in the second round and then conference finals, it does, it could make you play another game, and then that causes risk for injury, and also it's just another game, so it adds more minutes to players. So if you're the Warriors, obviously you want to try to get a 1 or 2 seed as you usually do. The West is very tight though, so that's where I was really kind of concerned. It's like Durant needs to keep this team right where it is right now. You can just don't fall, and once Curry comes back, you're gonna assert dominance again, and everything should be fine. Warriors just need to just stay in the 1 or 2 seed at the come end of the season. But as of right now, just stay at a decent spot. And Curry's gonna come back soon. Draymond Green's gonna come back soon. And then once that's that. If you don't fall too low, you're fine. Raptors, you're looking good. I have to say you're probably gonna win the East. I mean, I say that very tentatively because I think Boston is gonna come around. And Philly has very much impressed me. I've been very impressed with Philly, and I think they're gonna be a very, very tough out in the playoffs. And I think they could beat either the Raptors or the Celtics, because with the Raptors, I know they got Kawhi Leonard, and I know he's better than DeMar DeRozan. I know it's kind of a different system than Dwayne Casey. I think Nick Nurse has done a great job, but we've seen with the Raptors, they're a regular season team. Come playoffs, then it's just they're not the same team. And do I think Kawhi Leonard will help with that? Absolutely. But it doesn't take away from the fact that, like, for some odd reason, when it comes to the playoffs with the Raptors, no matter what seed they get, no matter how well the regular season is, in the playoffs, it's just something gets messed up. And in the playoffs, it is a slower tempo, and things do get kind of more chippy, obviously. Maybe that's what the effect is. Hopefully Kawhi Leonard can push them over that and get to the next level, get them to the conference finals, then to the NBA finals, and then face probably the Warriors, and who knows what's going to happen from there. I think they lose. But I do think with Philly, because the game slows down and Philly has Joel Embiid, which no other team has in the NBA, they do have that advantage right there. Not to mention Jimmy Butler is one of the clutchest players in the league, and Philly still kept up with their three-point shooting. So that was a big concern. Now it's not really a concern, and their defense is still great. I would not be surprised if Philly knocks out either Boston or Toronto in the playoffs and come second round whenever they face them. It is kind of hard for me to, I think Philly could make the NBA Finals, but I'm not saying that I think Philly's going to beat the Raptors or the Celtics. I just wouldn't be surprised. I still pick the Raptors or the Celtics against Philly in a playoff series. But I would not be surprised if Philly does end up beating one of those teams. And then Celtics, I just think once Hayward just gets back into shape, gets more confidence, uses his leg more can explode off his leg more. I think the Celtics are going to go to another level. Their defense is still in the top of the league, so I mean it's just once their offense figures it out, which it will happen. They're going to be right there with the Raptors, I think. And it's kind of hard for me to decide. Like, do I want, like, for the Eastern Conference Finals, do I want a Raptors and Celtics series? Which I already think that would be fantastic, and really fun to watch. Do I want Celtics 76ers? I think that would also be fun to watch. Or do I want Raptors and 76ers, which we haven't really seen much of that yet. But I want to see those two teams play together if they haven't already. Maybe they haven't, but if they have, then I want to see them play again. And I'd be very interested in seeing that matchup, and I think that would be a very good series too. So, I think with those three teams, I think they're going to be right there fighting to get into the Eastern Conference Finals and then into the NBA Finals. So enough with the East though. So I do want to talk about the Jazz and Cavs trade that happened. So Kyle Korver is now a member of the Utah Jazz again. The Jazz traded to the Cavs 2 second-round picks and also Alec Burks, which was I was very shocked by that. Kyle Korver is obviously just a sharpshooter who can come off screens, and you can't leave Kyle Korver open. He's going to probably knock it down in your face. So while I think this does help the Jazz, because the Jazz are struggling with their offense, especially like the Jazz are kind of at the bottom of the West right now because it's so stacked right now in the West. But they didn't have Donovan Mitchell for a good amount of their games. And if Mitchell doesn't play, the Jazz just really struggle to score. Even when Mitchell does play, I still see at times where they just don't know how to score the ball. I do think Kyle Korver helps in this case for the Jazz. He doesn't really bring that defense, but their defense is good enough to cover up for him. But while it does stretch the floor more, so like now you can't, the defender guarding Korver cannot leave him, so it opens up driving lanes. Does it drastically improve their offense though? No. I think it's gonna help, but I don't think it's gonna like be a drastic improvement, unfortunately. But I think it's a good thing for the Jazz. My only concern about this trade for the Jazz is that you gave up 2 second-round picks and Alec Burks. I understand with Alec Burks, you're probably gonna have to pay him soon. So that made sense to me. You know, get him off your books before you have to pay him. Kind of what they did with Rodney Hood, which then it kind of looks good right now for the Jazz because he didn't really perform too well with the Cavs, so he lost a lot of money. But with the Jazz, like I thought you gave up a little too much, just in my opinion. Because when I kind of think of like Justin Holiday on the Bulls, I know Justin Holiday is not as good of a shooter as Kyle Korver is, but Holiday he's a solid defender at least, and he's shooting 40% from 3-point range this year, and averaging 7 attempts from 3 in each game. So Holiday's been playing very well, and he can easily go to like a contender or just a good team, come off the bench and play either wing position and just be solid. But I don't think the Bulls would get anything more than a second-round pick for Justin Holiday. So just when I kind of think of it that way, I was just shocked that not only did the Jazz give up 2 second-round picks, but also Alec Burks. So that just kind of shocked me a little bit. But I don't think it's not anything major, but it's just I thought it was a little bit too much. Cavs though, I think overall it was just it's good because more cap space and everything. That's basically it. the Cavs, Bobby Marks did tweet out something, and the Cavs are gonna have a good amount of cap space come next offseason, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but the Cavs are doing a good job of getting guys out that have those really bad contracts on their books, and uh, just with the Kevin Love deal that they have, like they should have more cap space soon. And that's good for the Cavs. And I think now you can bring in some young guys. Hopefully draft well. Maybe probably get one of the Duke players, and then get some young guys. Maybe get a young star-ish player. I don't know, but it's good to have flexibility, especially if you're the Cavs. You need flexibility, and especially when you're going to try to make trades, you're going to need that. So, Cavs with Alec Burks coming over, I don't really know what he's going to really do. It gives you another wing player who I guess could play well next to Jordan Clarkson, but nothing major there. He got 2 second-round picks, which could be used for trades, and also maybe for this upcoming draft, which is going to be very huge for the Cavs. So, I think the Jazz overall win the trade, but I mean, like, I don't really want to like say much about that. It's not that major. I think it's gonna have effect, but it's not a major trade overall. So I do, before I wrap this up, so I'm at about 20 minutes right now. I do want to talk about the Bulls, and my Bulls are hopefully going to get healthy soon, and I'm very happy that they're going to get healthy, because, oh my goodness. So, what, Lauri Markkanen is now set to return, hopefully next week, sometime next week. It looks like the Bulls are aiming for December 4th, so that's going to be Tuesday, and I hope that's the case. So, because the Bulls lost to Detroit tonight, and it was a hard game to watch for me. Wendell Carter Jr. had a career night. I was very, very impressed with him, and it's what I've been saying though about Wendell Carter Jr. Just if he isn't in foul trouble, which he's been in the past 5 games, he's fouled out twice and had 5 fouls in the other 3 games. If he's not in foul trouble, and the Bulls actually kind of like give him the ball at times, he can be very effective. He had 28 points tonight, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks, and he was taking Andre Drummond on the block. Like, he was putting up hook shots on him, fadeaways. Him and Zach LaVine in the pick and roll was very effective, and I loved what I saw out of Wendell Carter Jr. tonight. And obviously, he played his great defense with 3 blocks, and he had a really good block on Andre Drummond too. So, I think the Bulls picking Wendell Carter Jr., that criticism is gone now, and I'm very glad it is. I'm very excited to see Wendell Carter Jr. play alongside Lauri Markkanen. I think those 2 guys, they complement each other very, very well. And just, with Markkanen coming back next week, hopefully, barring any setbacks, he's doing contact practice now. Barring any setbacks and everything, just having Markkanen out on the floor for the Bulls is just so important. Obviously, timing, rhythm, and stamina and all that, and his conditioning. It's gonna take a bit, to get him reacclimated into the offense, and just playing in an NBA game. It takes a lot to just play in one NBA game, especially if you've been out for 8+ weeks. So, it's gonna take him some time to get back to Lauri Markkanen, but just his presence out there on the floor, it opens up so many more lanes, because you can't leave him. If he's in the corner and then someone like Zach LaVine's driving to the lane, you can't leave Lauri Markkanen open. Even if he's just coming back from injury, even if he doesn't have his conditioning, he's still a sharpshooter that can hit that 3 in your face. So you cannot leave Lauri Markkanen. And that's going to help the Bulls drastically. Especially Zach LaVine, who's been having trouble getting into the lane recently, because the opposing team's defense has done a good job of doubling him to get the ball out of his hands, so he's forced to pass it. Well, if you put Lauri Markkanen in that pick and roll with Zach LaVine, well, now you can't double anymore, because if you double, then Markkanen's open for 3 or going to the rim, and if you if you can't go, both defenders can't go to Markkanen because then Zach gets a wide open dunk. You're forced to basically just switch it, or you're gonna have to figure out a way to blitz it, and that's gonna be really tough for any defense to guard. So I expect the opposing defenses to switch it, but then it's either Zach goes ISO or Markkanen in the post. So I'm very excited to see Markkanen get back on the floor for the Bulls, and then after that, Chris Dunn and Bobby Portis should be coming back the following week or maybe 2 weeks. And once the Bulls are fully healthy, they're gonna be a very fun team to watch. I'm very interested in seeing the rotations. I kind of talked about this in my last video. I'm very interested to see what Fred Hoiberg does for the rotations once everybody's healthy. Obviously, I still think Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine in the backcourt, and then Markkanen and Wendell Carter Jr. in the front court. I'm interested to see who's going to be starting at small forward. I personally think Justin Holiday. And I'm just interested really just when Markkanen comes back, like, is Jabari Parker going to stay in the starting lineup? He's been playing better in the past week or so. I think he's starting to figure it out because I have criticized Jabari Parker a lot for his defense. A lot of people have been saying a lot about his conditioning. We have to remember this man's coming off another ACL tear. He's had 2 ACL tears, so you have to think of it as him recovering how Zach has been recovering. And I know he did play last season, but it wasn't a lot of games. It wasn't like Zach LaVine, who kind of came back, it was late February. So Zach had some more time. Jabari Parker came back at like the end of the year for the Bucks and into the playoffs, which he wasn't really effective. So Jabari's still kind of recovering, and people need to recognize that and remember that. So I think Jabari's just still trying to get his conditioning down. And once he does, I think he's going to play much better. My concern, though, is he going to be in the starting lineup? I'm one of those people that I don't think Zach LaVine and Jabari Parker should be on the floor at the same time. They've had to do that. They've been forced to do that with all the injuries. But if you could have LaVine and Parker not on the floor at the same time, I think that's good for the Bulls. Don't play those guys together because they both need the ball to be effective. I think Zach is more effective off ball than Jabari Parker is, but I would rather have Zach LaVine have the ball and either attack or really run the offense, but Jabari needs the ball for him to be effective. So I think it's best to put Jabari Parker on the bench when Lauri Markkanen gets back. I think Justin Holiday in the starting lineup is good because he's not ball dominant. He's a solid defender, and he's gonna be a 3-point shooter and a good 3-point shooter. And you need that spacing for the Bulls, especially when Chris Dunn gets back, who's not that great of a shooter, but he's a good driver. And Zach LaVine just needs spacing now in general to get to the basket, which will open up more shots for everybody else. So I'm very excited for Markkanen to make his season debut. I'm not expecting the wins to all of a sudden start coming. I think in the last 10 games, the only win the Bulls have had is against Phoenix, which is not a surprise. But I think the Bulls will be in a lot more games. Like, for example, tonight against Detroit, I think the Bulls would have been in this game with Markkanen because LaVine can't do it all, and it showed tonight because LaVine only had 8 points. First time he's only scored in single digits this season. But he also, I think, had 8 assists, which was a lot because Wendell got it going in the third. So it was the pick and roll with Wendell, and he was throwing to Wendell for either a 15-footer or a layup. So I think LaVine showed his leadership in recognizing who had the hot hand, and he got Wendell Carter Jr. the ball, which was good. But LaVine did have to fight for those 8 points tonight. He missed a couple of gimmies. He missed 2 layups that he usually makes. But it's showing that he's really having to fight for his points right now. And once Markkanen gets back, that's gonna change immediately. Because just Markkanen out there just changes the opposing team's defense immediately because you have to worry about him. So, I'm just I'm itching to see Markkinen to get back out on the court, and really help the Bulls. And then once Chris Dunn and Bobby Portis get back, I think one of the things the Bulls are missing right now is like having that grit and just having those guys to play with a chip on their shoulder, and then those two guys for the Bulls is Chris Dunn and Bobby Portis. They both play with a chip on their shoulder. They're both going to be the guys that they're our tough guys, and they're not afraid to take a hard foul when we need it, because some of the it drives me insane to see Andre Drummond to get an easy layup when he could have easily just taken a hard foul on him to send him a message. Hey, you're not gonna get 2 points very easily, and also you have to earn your points by shooting free throws. And while he has gotten better at free throws, he's not fantastic. So, Chris Dunn and Bobby Portis, they bring another element of toughness, grit that the Bulls drastically need right now. And just having those guys out there is gonna help especially when it's like a hard time for the Bulls. Like they're having a hard time to score. So Bobby Portis is that energy guy also, so he can get a bucket when you need it. And Chris Dunn, with his defense, he can shut down an opposing point guard and get a steal or just completely disrupt the opposing team's offense. And that's something the Bulls have just missed so much with having those guys out. So I think once those guys get back, you're going to see a lot more wins from the Bulls. And I'm saying, like, even with like the really good teams, I think, do I think the Bulls going to win? No, but you're going to see them in games, and they could potentially steal some games because they're hanging around and they're not giving up. They're going to fight to the end, and those teams that they're facing, they could, make a mistake, and then the Bulls can capitalize off of it. So, I do want to say with the Bulls, so, I think Justin Holiday starts at small forward. I'm interested with the bench. I think with Ryan Arcidiacono, he's played so well this season. I'm very happy to see him play so well. I think he has earned the backup point guard. For some odd reason, Fred Hoiberg has been playing Cameron Payne the last couple of games, and I don't know why. And he's been playing the backup shooting guard, really, because Shaq Harrison's the backup point guard. And I just don't understand what's going on with that. I really question Hoiberg sometimes. So it's just, once everybody comes back, I don't want to see Cameron Payne at all in the lineup. He drove me insane today because he airballed a layup and he airballed a 3-point shot, man. And he also, like, when he checked in the game, he took an immediate 3, but like Wendell Carter Jr. had the hot hand. You're supposed to give it to him. It's just, this man just, I don't want him playing ever again on the Bulls. But for some odd reason, Hoiberg plays him. So, I'm not the coach, but yeah. But again, once everybody's healthy, I think for the bench, it's Arcidiacono at the backup point guard. Then it gets really kind of tough though, because I like Chandler Hutchison. I like what he does. I like what he brings to the Bulls, and I think he'll eventually be a starting small forward for the Bulls if they don't draft a small forward in this upcoming draft. So I think he has to play, whether it's at the 2, 3, or 4. He has to play somewhere. Like I said, I like Jabari Parker coming off the bench, and when I say Jabari Parker is coming off the bench, that doesn't mean that he's not closing games. I think Jabari Parker can close games, especially if he's able to knock down the spot up 3. Then he can play with Levine. Just he has to adjust his game because he can't always ISO to get his buckets. He needs to learn how to be a good catch and shoot player. And if he learns how to do that, then I think he can play with Levine and close games. And having Levine and Parker out there, if they both got it going to close games, and then add in Markkinen, that's very scary. And I think that'll be very, very good for the Bulls. But I do like Jabari Parker coming off the bench. And then I really don't know. I think Antonio Blakeney, he hasn't played in the last couple games, and I understand why, but man, I would play Blakeney over Cameron Payne right now. Just in general, I don't know what Hoiberg's thinking. So I think Blakeney has earned a spot, at least just to test him out and see how he plays with when everybody's healthy. Because he can be an instant offense guy. He can be a Lou Williams or Jamal Crawford. He just needs to make better decisions with the ball and have a better shot IQ. Once he figures out that, then I think he could be a very effective piece off the bench. And then for the big man off the bench, I would like to see Fred Hoiberg run a 3-man big man lineup. Like, I don't want to see Cristiano Felicio because that just shows you really don't want to win that game, I think. And I don't want the Bulls to tank, which I'll get to that in a little bit. Robin Lopez can play, but I kind of expect him to be moved soon, unfortunately, because I like Rolo. But I would like to see Bobby Portis come in, and he's going to be that guy to he can play either the 4 or the 5. But he's gonna take out like Wendell, for example, and he'll play with Lowry like till the end of the first, and then Wendell will come back in like at the beginning of the second. Lowry will come out, and then so it's then Portis and Carter Jr. to start the second. So I just like to see that for Hoiberg, just use Portis as like the guy to sub out both Markkanen and Carter Jr. I don't want to see 4 guys for the big men. I think you can do it because Hoiberg likes to run 10 guys. So if you want to do it, you can do that 10-man rotation and use Rolo also, but no Cristiano Felicio. That's just my opinion. Unfortunately, Denzel Valentine. Whoa, sorry, camera got messed up there. Denzel Valentine is out for the season. Unfortunately, I was looking forward to see him play because I thought he had not a great year last year, but he at least showed me that he's more than a shooter. He showed me that he can rebound the ball and can also at times run the point if necessary, but really just he's another ball handler out there for the Bulls, and I think that would be very effective for him in the second unit. I don't think he'd be a good starter, but he at least showed me that he can do more than just be a shooter in the corner, and that's what I was really looking for from Denzel. Unfortunately, he's out for the entire season, so hopefully the surgery is gonna help his ankle. It's the same surgery that Steph Curry had, and now we know what Steph has turned into. So hopefully he's not gonna have the same effect, but just at least he's not gonna have any more ankle issues, and I think he could be part of the Bulls' future. It's just hard to figure out where. Unfortunately, yeah. So he's not gonna be playing for the rest of the season. So I do want to then I also want to talk about the Bulls and tanking, because that's been a recent thing all of a sudden. A lot of people are saying maybe the Bulls should tank. So me as a Bulls fan, and I guess I kind of have a biased opinion. So last year was already hard enough. And last year, though, it kind of made sense because Zach LaVine was out for most of the year. He only played 24 games. Chris Dunn missed time. Markkanen missed some time. But just in general, that year was basically kind of a throwaway year. It was very obvious that the Bulls it wasn't even worth trying to win. Come this year now, Zach LaVine is a superstar. There's no doubt about it. Should be an all-star. Probably most improved player of the year. So, yeah, I don't see why you should be tanking, though, when, intentionally trying to lose, when you need to develop your young guys. Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and Lauri Markkanen have only played 255 minutes together in total. So, I think it's very important for those guys to get reps together and play in close games together and start developing that chemistry more and be able to close. So I don't see the point of tanking in that. I just don't see the point in that at all, especially when you're trying to develop your young guys, because if you're trying to tank, then you're playing your worst guys, and that gets the Bulls nowhere, especially because if you get a good pick, which is not guaranteed if you tank, you could get, you could have the best chance to get the first pick, but you could get the 4th pick. And So that's already an issue. So there's no guarantee you get the top pick or second pick. Um, but tanking to then also draft a player which you don't 100% know is going to help your team. He could be a bust. He could not turn into a star that you were expecting. Um, that I don't think it's worth it. I think it's worth trying to improve the guys that you have right now, which is Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, Laurie Markkinen, and Wendell Carter Jr., and also Chandler Hutchison, Bobby Portis. Develop your core and have them play as much as possible together. Develop that chemistry, and then I don't know. I don't think the Bulls are gonna make the playoffs as of right now because the fact they've lost so many games and because the people have been injured. But you could probably go 500 for the once everybody's healthy, and go 500 for the rest of the season, and I would consider that a success. I know it's like, well, you're only getting like maybe 9th pick, 10th pick. You could still get a good player from that, and I've reiterated this in my previous video, saying that I don't think the Bulls need another star. I mean, granted, you look at the Warriors, you're like, well, 5 All-Stars. Well, if you kind of think about it, though, Steph, he's an MVP, but we have to remember Steph doesn't need the ball to be effective, right? Klay Thompson needs other guys for him to become a star, but he doesn't need the ball to be effective. Durant, he kind of needs the ball, right? But Draymond Green is a pass-first guy. He does all the little things, rebounds, he gets assists, and he'll score when necessary, but he plays great defense. Then DeMarcus Cousins, we still haven't seen that yet, but because the fact that Curry, Thompson, and Durant don't need the ball to be effective, I think Durant needs the ball more to be more effective. But Curry and Thompson, they don't need the ball always to be effective. That allows DeMarcus Cousins to be on that team. If you have very ball-dominant guys all on an entire roster, 1 through 4, then I don't think DeMarcus Cousins can be on that team. So with the Bulls, though, Zach LaVine needs the ball, right? He needs the ball to be effective. He's your number one guy. Markkinen, I think he's going to need the ball more because last year he was just more of a shooter. Now I think he's going to have a post-up game, or he's going to have more weapons that he can use because he gained 15 pounds of muscle. He's probably faster, so he's going to need the ball at some point, and he can't just be that shooter anymore. And Chris Dunn is the point guard, and he's not that great of a shooter. Now, granted, Chris Dunn can play good defense, and I think that's where he's going to be really effective and show his value, but he's going to also need the ball to. And I think Chris Dunn's a great passer. I think he's a good playmaker. I think he's a good point guard, but it's important for Chris Dunn to have the ball at some point. So, and then with Wendell Carter Jr., he doesn't need the ball to be effective. He does need touches, but he can be so effective without getting a touch in the offense every possession. He plays good defense, good rebounding, blocks shots, can hit the mid-range, hit the three-point shot when necessary, set good screens. He doesn't need the ball to show his value. So, in my opinion, I don't think the Bulls need to go get another guy, aka like another star or like an RJ Barrett, and add them to this team because that person is going to need the ball to be effective. And I think if you're the Bulls, you need a guy who's going to be like really a 3-and-D guy, or maybe try to find like a scorer off your bench. But I think Bobby Portis covers that. I think Bobby Portis could be your 6th man. So I don't really know if where you even kind of go if you're the Bulls. I think you have a solid group that you just need to kind of develop, and you just kind of have to wait. Now if free agency is another thing. If you can get Klay Thompson, I would go do that. You obviously, if you get a star, you obviously go do it. I'm just saying, they're stars though, so it's like they're not gonna, they're gonna be able to adapt because what you're gonna get from them whenever necessary. Durant, it's like a little for me, but if you get Klay Thompson, that would be perfect, and that's what I'm saying with the Bulls. Like, he doesn't need the ball to be so effective because I think Zach LaVine is gonna be a superstar, and he's gonna be your guy. So with the Bulls, like I'm just saying, like you could get at like 9 or 10, you can get either maybe a backup point guard, but I mean Ryan Arcidiacono showed that he deserves to be in this league, so maybe keep Ryan, but then try to find maybe like a Lou Williams type of scorer in the draft. But you do have Antonio Blakeney, but it's I think you could draft like a shooting guard, combo guard, or wing player. Other than that, though, it's like maybe try to find a stretch four, maybe or like a forward that's like a PJ Tucker or Trevor Ariza, guys who are 3-and-D guys that have a lot of value. But again, I think Chandler Hutchison could be that once he develops a jump shot. So Bulls is kind of difficult to kind of gauge what you would do, even if you had that great pick. If you had number one, you're like, oh, Zion Williamson, he needs the ball though, and I don't know how he fits in the Bulls offense if he's on the Bulls. So I wouldn't be so I wouldn't be so onto the fact that you need to get that pick. I think it's very important right now in year 2 of the rebuild to just develop your young players that you have currently on the roster. Don't worry about this pick right now. That's later in the future. We'll figure that out later. As of right now, worry about developing your young guys. I think that's the most important thing. So that's my thoughts on the tanking idea. I know the Bulls have only won 5 games, but we have to remember, I mean, we don't know what this team is yet. So once everyone gets healthy, then I want to kind of think I'll kind of reevaluate what I'm saying right now and see if like maybe we do need something else. And that's where I think maybe free agency is going to be a big play, because now Zach LaVine's an all-star and it's Chicago. So you're going to have the advantage there. So that's what I think with tanking. I don't want to hear the whole let's tank right now. It's only the quarter mark of the season. We need to all just relax right now. All right. Let's try to just get everybody healthy. That should be the number one concern right now, is get everybody healthy. Get everybody playing for the Bulls. All right. I think that's going to end this episode now. All right. Got to hydrate. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching this latest episode of the Duncan White NBA podcast. You can listen to this and watch this on my YouTube channel, TheSlamDuncan. Make sure you go follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. Hopefully, like I said before, hopefully I'll be able to get this on iTunes, Google Play, and podcast.com, so you can also listen to it on there. But I'm still kind of working that out, so I'll try to figure that out hopefully soon. I'll see how that all works out. But I'm glad that I was able to do this, so listen to it on my YouTube channel. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more NBA content. Go ahead and leave down anything in the comments section below. Suggestions for my channel, questions for me to answer, or just anything basketball related. I'm more than willing to look at the comments and respond to what you guys have to say. So make sure you go do that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This is Duncan White, signing off for now.